Hey guys, Sam here, and today I decided to make a short little video on fishing ponds in summer. I haven't talked very much about fishing in ponds this year, so I'm going to give you a little bit of tips on that and show you a couple baits you should throw in ponds this time of year. So there's not much of a difference in fishing ponds versus bigger lakes, except ponds are easier to break down and find a pattern quicker. In big lakes you have so many different patterns and so many different places to try. In a pond, it's all condensed down into one small body of water, so you can find out the bass really easy. A lot of the time in ponds, you're going to be throwing soft plastics, especially in summer. One of the all-time pond fishing baits is a Senko. This is a 4-inch green pumpkin Senko. A lot of the times I'll use 5-inch, but if you wacky rig this, you're going to catch a ton of bass. I don't always wacky rig it though. Sometimes I'd use a weightless Texas rig, or I just regular Texas rig it with a bullet weight. Another great bait to throw in ponds are any type of worm, like this Zoom trick worm or this ribbon tail worm. These work great in ponds Texas rigged or weightless rigged. But a lot of the times in ponds I like to flip and pitch, and a beaver is one of the best baits to do that with because they're not going to get caught up in weeds. This is a Missile Baits D-Bomb, one of my favorite type of beavers. And it's just like a jig when you peg the weight, but it's not going to get hung up in a bunch of weeds, and they're great to catch bass. The bass will hold on to them for a long time. But another great bait to throw in ponds are boot tail swim baits. Usually, you can catch a lot of bass in summer on these boot tail swim baits. They mimic some type of bait fish, depending on the color, a shad or a bluegill. And they're just a great bait. I like to do it with belly weighted hooks, or I'll Texas rig them, and it's depending on how the fish are feeding. If they're relating towards the bottom, I'm going to be Texas rigging them, and if they're more suspended, I'm going to use a belly weighted hook. Those are a few of the soft plastics you want to throw in ponds in summer. Another great way to catch bass in ponds is jigs. They're not always the best because they can get hung up in weeds easily or on rocks or stumps, but I love to jig. I do it a lot. This is a Strike King KVD swim jig, and I'll put a boot tail swim bait on there as a trailer, and that's going to look just like a bluegill. You can pull these along weed edges. You can fish them through stumps, rocks. These are great anywhere. And I also like to throw more of a bottom presentation jig with a craw for a trailer. It's going to look a lot like a crawfish. You just want to hop these along the bottom in stump fields, anywhere you think that there's going to be bass. Throw a jig. Another great bait to throw in ponds are chatterbaits. Chatterbaits always work pretty good in ponds, especially if you can fish them around some weed edges. I've caught a lot of big bass in ponds on chatterbaits, and they just typically work really good in ponds. Now, one of the best baits to throw in ponds in summer, especially around dusk and dawn, are frogs. Since ponds get a lot of scum and weeds on them, frogs are a great bait. They don't hardly get snagged on anything, and you can just pull these right through the weeds. A few of my favorite frogs are the Spro bronze eye frogs, and especially the large target frog. Frogs are great to fish around scum, duckweed, lily pads, or any other type of weed. But when you're fishing less weeds, and you're fishing more open water, a popping frog can do pretty good. They're not my favorite type of frog, but I have had some success on them. So take these out and try and fish them around wood or any other type of cover like that, and you may catch a few bass. Another great bait are these soft plastic style frogs. This is the Stanley Ribbit, and this is great to fish around weed edges. It makes a lot of commotion in the water, and these legs kick and make a lot of disturbance, and you can catch a lot of bass on these. They make dual prong hooks for them. You can either use those or regular extra wide gap hooks, whatever you prefer, but these are a great bait to catch them on in summer. Sometimes in ponds, especially ponds that are fished a lot, the bass are going to be really hard to catch, and you have to go really finesse. Drop shotting is a great way to catch bass when you have to go finesse, and this is my favorite drop shotting bait right here. This is the Strike King Dream Shot. This is more of a green pumpkin color here. I'm not a big fan of drop shotting in ponds. I don't do it a lot, but sometimes you just have to do that to catch bass. And another technique you might want to try if you're having trouble is shaky heading or any other style like that. And just go finesse and see if you can catch some more bass. That's going to be it for this video. That was just the basics of pond fishing in summer. There's a lot of baits I didn't say that would work, and some of the baits I did say won't work all the time. You just got to experiment and try new things and try and catch bass. So thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come.